if he catches that ball, and keeps his feet, dude, he might be running. He might be running for a tutty on that.
He might still be running now.
Yeah, he's Forrest Gump, baby. Running out the stadium.
A lot of chirping from Coug fans and Duck fans really about how, hey, this was, another game where the refs bailed out Washington. It's like, I don't know what game you were watching. There should have been way more holds.
Welcome to the Dubbed Up Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Blunt. On this week's show, we're going to talk about the Apple Cup and how UW got out with a 2-point victory. We're going to look ahead to Oregon. And for the first time in over 30 years, the Huskies are 12-0. I got my guys Izzo and Noah with me. Guys, 12-0 since the first time since we were little kids, maybe even babies, depending on which one we're talking to. Izzo, how are you feeling going in? Are we going to win a national championship? Is this going to happen?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, man. This is getting dicey. Man, I imagine sharing the same thoughts as everybody from that game, like way too close. I didn't, we watched everybody rush the field and everything like that. And that's fine. Given the context, I don't think that there needed to be a big thing made of that. I saw some fans on Twitter of opposing fan bases that I'm sure we'll discuss here, but that were kind of dogging us or whatever. But given the context, 12-0, you kick a walk off. I know, for Cougs and Husky fans, at least the interactions that I saw in the stadium, it was a dogfight. Like there was a lot of banter going back and forth, a lot of booze flowing. So, I don't think it was that crazy that we stormed the field, but I just didn't feel like it was totally warranted. So I didn't want to do it. It didn't feel like the type of game to be super proud of, but it is what it is. We come out with a win, 12-0. Amazing season to this point, but the job's not done yet. Well, this is it's getting real crazy now, just with all the context of Mike and him putting his head in the box and whatever gets made of that, whatever. It's a huge moment. So,
I think with the whole field storming thing, if you come from the old school, you only did that in the biggest moments, but things have changed. And I don't look down upon it so much. And for 12-0, I think it's definitely worth storming the field, especially over our rivals. Last time in the Pac-12, first ever Pac-12 team to ever finish a season undefeated is huge. Noah, let me ask you this. These last 6 games have all been figured out by less than 10 points. Do we really have what it takes to go undefeated and win a national championship?
And we're going to find out Friday night. I'll tell you that right now. You go into Vegas and you get a W. Don't really matter how you get it, as long as you get it. And the answer to that is unequivocally yes. But man, I'll tell you what, this team found a way to win again. And when we look back on this 2023 season, I think they're really going to be known as like the Cardiac Dogs. I think that's going to be their name, man. We've had all these other names, Death Row Dogs, and back in the day, the Dog Father and his posse, and we've had all these things, but the Cardiac Dogs, man, that's who they are. And that Izzo said it, man. This is a good old fashioned dogfight. It's exactly what it was, man. And man, I'll tell you what, man, those Cougs, man, they just, their fans kind of take on just that like blue collar. And man, coming out of halftime, man, they're getting chirpy, getting up in people's faces. It was fun, man. But we hung in there. We're 12-0, man. These boys are resilient. And on to the next one, man. But before we get there, man, we can break this down. There's some fun stuff to talk about. You can't completely get rid of the Pac-12 Apple Cup, because the Apple Cup's changed a little bit. But for the final Pac-12 Apple Cup, man, it gave the fans just about everything they wanted to see. I'll tell you that.
Barn burner.
The Cougs are forever having little brother energy. I don't care what anybody says. I seen them online cheering for the Ducks. Like, really? For real? Okay, whatever.
Beta mentality.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. I'm glad that we're going to continue this rivalry. It's going to be fun doing it during the summer months now. Change of pace, but it's still going to be the same old Dogs versus Cougs. What I've been thinking a lot about, though, is how this game went down. If you watch this, and let's dive into the game. The defense was stalwart. They played really tight all game. I mean, lots of sacks, turnovers, all that kind of good stuff. And the offense sputtered again. No, I'm going to stick with you on this one. Let's stick with the positives and tell me what you thought. What stuck out about that defense?
Right at the tip top. 5 sacks and 6 tackle for losses, man. That to me was like, game changer all night. We kind of knew, you could look at the game. You knew Wazoo was going to come out and try to throw the ball all over the field. They got they got Cam Ward, kind of their playmaker. But, we combated that. And Mike, you called that. We combated that with the NASCAR package, the Zoom package that we've been calling it. We lined up at that 22 different times. And I think that's really the main reason we kind of saw that uptick, in 5 sacks and multiple tackle for losses. And here's kind of the hidden little gem of that. Moving forward, I think it's going to allow us, to get a fully fresh and ready to go MJ Ale and Thule as well. So that little NASCAR package that we implemented 2 or 3 games ago, 4 games ago now, I think it's actually going to like bode well for us going into the Pac-12 championship.
I think this game is really on the defensive line. They absolutely showed up for a couple of reasons. One, you allowed Thule to rest up. He only played 5 snaps. That's massive, especially with the run game being like less of a factor in this game. This was big for, like Noah said, to run that blitz package where we're just got all our pass rushers in and let him take a day off. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but there's holds in every game. And KDB said it. Trice creates so much contact in the way that he gets after the quarterback that it's inevitable that there's going to be holds that don't get called. There was a lot of chirping from Coug fans and Duck fans really about how, hey, this was another game where the refs bailed out Washington. It's like, I don't know what game you were watching. There should have been way more holds, and they got called for a lot. But there was a lot that didn't get. It's almost like they had to not call holding to keep the game going, because we were just getting we called it out as a key to the game last week. This offensive line does not match up well with this defensive line. Get after the quarterback, and we absolutely did that. I think Cam Ward had 42 pass attempts in this game, and outside of some
48.
Wow.
I mean, outside of some deep balls getting caught, I thought just the defense played. They held this. You would think with the stat line that Cam had with 317 yards that they would have scored 30, but they didn't. We showed up when we needed to, and yeah, like I said, there were some deep balls that got caught, and that's kind of the difference maker in that stat line. But
dude, one thing on that is, and we kind of noted it last week, is in all the games that Wazoo has lost, they've struggled to get off the field on third down, or to continue drives. They've been getting kicked off the field on third down, and they went 7 of 17. I mean, that's not terrible, but I mean, to be successful, you want to be over about 50%, and anything less than that, you're just really going to struggle to win games. And so that's just another kind of like coup for the defense, man. Yeah, they were hitting us on those slants, and I just think at the end of the day, bro, it's like, we really have had this bend don't break philosophy, but the big thing with that is, and we talked about this, we've gone from 7 interceptions last year to 15. And we had, doubled and more. And we had another 2 picks. And it's an offense that's been so prolific all year. The defense, the last couple of games, has really just come alongside them and said, hey, get on our back for a little bit and let us run us through some of this season too. So dude, you got to give a lot of love to Inge and Morrell and that defensive staff and all the players.
I really want to talk about the back end of the defense. I think Thaddeus Dixon and Mikel Esteen really showed up, and I know Dom Hampton struggled a little bit too, even though he still was second on the team in tackles with 8. Noah, what did you think about how the back end played this last week?
Yeah, having Thaddeus Dixon play, I think 33 snaps, if I remember right, that's just a direct indication that the staff is really starting to trust him more and more. And when he starts, making open field tackles, when he starts getting picks, running with the ball, and getting our offense back in good field position, it's only going to bode well, not only for him but for the team. And having him, it's interesting, man. I mean, when we watched him in spring, and I'll quickly talk this, but like, dude, we kind of thought he might end up being the guy. I mean, he was very, very, physical with Rome. You saw him, go man to man with him often. And then as the game speed happened, like we've talked about, it's like, he struggled a little bit in that Pac-12 game speed, but slowly but surely, man, he just kind of like stayed in, perfected his craft, realized, understood the game, understood the defense. And, dude, you kind of got to like tip your cap to Thad Dixon, man, and just kind of say, man, dude, good on you. And then with Esteen, he's like, I'm gonna get a chance and I'm gonna make the most of it. Is this his second pick now? I think it is, right?
It
Second or third. Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, man, I mean, you're starting as a fan, as a staff. I mean, you're starting just kind of you're just getting a little more confidence in these guys. And it's kind of exciting to see, because is this defense, here's like a question, like, is this defense just maybe peaking like at the right time?
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, what we were talking about before, like we hadn't seen everything come together. We talked about this offline. We hadn't seen everything come together as a team on all facets since maybe Michigan State. The defense, to your point, Noah, is clicking right at the right time, and we just got to get that offense to click at the same time.
Yeah, we really do need it, because it's they've saved our ass the last 2-3 weeks, and there's no doubt about it. But it's also proving that we could win games the other way. All right, now let's look to the other side of the ball. Polk dropped 3 or 4 passes against Oregon State. He had one hit him right in his hands and drop it against Wazoo, and it seems like he's being targeted less. There's nothing to worry about on that front? I mean, because I felt like J-Mac kind of got his confidence back. He had 5 catches for 26 yards, and Rome is Rome.
I think it's more of like, you don't overcoach in that scenario. I'm almost thinking about it as like a fixer mentality. Like, is there something to adjust? Do we need to change the scheme? Is there a massive overhaul that needs to happen? Do we just need to like totally, let somebody step in for Jalen Polk? I don't. I just think some of these things kind of sort out themselves, and this is one of those things. That's just my opinion. I don't think there's anything broken with the offense per se.
One thing on that I want to say is, Mike was on this trajectory to have like this, he's the clear front runner for the Heisman. He's, there's no question who it's gonna be, who's gonna win it. And then you kind of see some games. We get into the monsoon in Oregon State, struggle with Utah. They kind of came back and played well. And I mean, at the end of the day, if we can just make a couple catches on a couple different drives, maybe a drop here, a drop there, is everybody freaking out in Twitter land about, kind of where, Mike struggles? Is he hurt? Is he not? Is he still sick? Is he having like some breakdown? And I think at the end of the day, I think if you just have those little catches that we've seen all year, I think Mike's fine.
I do too.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, Izzo, with, is it really like some scheme struggle we're having? Or do you just tip your cap to some of these freaking cornerbacks and go, hey, man, that back shoulder pass that's literally Rome's caught 85% of the year? Dude, that was a great play, man. Nice play.
It really was.
So that's kind of where it is, man. I mean, if you just see a little, just cut down some of the drops, because, dude, those drops aren't a thing that we've seen all year. It's a little confidence problem. And from there, dude, I think we're going to be fine. And I think you're going to see an explosive team come in the Pac-12 championship.
One of the big 800-pound elephants in the room was what's going on with Michael Penix. That's been a big question. There's been rumors swirling all over the place. He says he's fine. He says, I'm healthy, I'm good. Do you believe what you're hearing when you hear him say that? Izzo, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
Yeah, I do. I think that gets played up a lot. There was 2 clips that were really getting dissected on this.
Cool.
One was his head in the phone box or whatever. He was nervous for the kick. That's fine. He's not injured and they're puking in the phone box. He's just nervous. And then you had the second clip, which was Mike getting walked off by, that's the head of security from my understanding, under a jacket. That's just like, hey, you've got fans coming out of the stands, rushing the field. Let's get them off. There was a former Duck player And he was like, if he's not hurt, then there's something bigger on this. It's like he's just creating narratives. It's nothing.
Dude, back-to-back weeks, our staff has known that Mike Penix has got us here. He's been the leader. And back-to-back weeks, man, we put everything on Mike's back. And last week with the shoulder, the shoulder pass, that BB to Rome to win the game. And then this week, we say, Mike, you're the leader. We're going to ride you to the promised land, man. And we give him a little option. He would say, hey, man, you got to read the edge. If the edge stays there, hand it off to Dylan and we'll go, on 4th and 1. If not, you got your brother from another mother right behind you, man. And what happens? It ends up working. It's one of the most, big time gutsy calls you're going to have. I mean, that's a make or break season, season play call right there, and it works. And so when, to Izzo's point, when he sees that, he takes them all the way down the field, he takes that sack, and so it puts it a little bit harder on Grady Gross to make that kick. Dude, no wonder he's in the phone booth thing, with his head down.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, the pressure of the community, the pressure of the program, the pressure of West Coast football to a certain extent is like
this
sitting
podcast.
on. Yeah. No, but seriously though, the pressure of the world is on this kid's shoulders, man. And I know everybody says oh, he's 24, he's 23, whatever he is, it's like, dude, those are his brothers out there, man. He wants to win for them too.
Yep.
It's like, and so when people say dude, is he having a panic attack? Is he freaking out a little bit? Probably.
What would you do?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Context.
Hey, we're not losing. I'll tell you what. If you throw up before every play, but you still win the game, hey man, throw up away. I don't care. You do what you got to do. I'm not gonna get mad at you. And Noah, I'm gonna rephrase what you said. It was the balls on these guys to call that play. That was the ballsiest call in UW. I've never. I was like, oh Lord. When they faked out the camera guy, I thought DJ had got it and got stopped. Once I saw Rome going around the edge, I was like, that was amazing. I go, you know what? I love KDB. I love Ryan Grubb. Even when we're having a tough day, they still went with their guys and they won. And I think part of what sets that up is my segue is what we've been doing in the running game. DJ, who was obviously hobbled, still went 21 for 82 and a touchdown. I think he's 39 yards away from 1,000 on the season, which he likely gets in this game coming up. And then our team running the ball. I mean, if we can't run the ball, then that play doesn't work in the end because they're looking for a run. When I was watching the presser with KDB and them guys, they knew that play was there because they had set it up earlier in the game. I mean, every week I feel like we're talking about Dylan Johnson. No, when you're watching Dylan Johnson right now, tell me this is not making you feel like, man, we could do anything this year.
Dude, I mean, so Dylan Johnson to me actually gets, so we like to give out our players of the game, and it's easy to probably go to Rome every week or go to Mike Penix. I mean, just because. But dude, do you know why I want to give it to Dylan Johnson this week? Dude, because there's nothing gaudy really about that stat line. Dude, you could tell early on his foot was bothering him. Dude, does he got a broken foot? Does he have a sprained foot? Does he have something wrong with his foot? It's freaking obvious, right? But dude, just the grit that he showed to stay in that game, I think there was a realness. I mean, I think the coaches probably wanted to put him on some sort of snap count. Let's put him 12 snaps, 15 snaps. But dude, for him to go 21 rushes, for him to be running, dude, he kind of came out actually after halftime, and he actually looked a little bit better. It looked like, his foot, maybe he took a little something at halftime, whatever it is. I think that he
is a Heldra.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know that, by the way. We don't know that. But
no, not at all. I'm just saying. Yeah. But man, I mean, he's tough to bring down. He's a bowling ball. He always gets that extra yard. And it's just having him on your team kind of exudes a little bit of confidence when the passing game might not be clicking, on all eights, as you call it, Mike. we can lean on DJ for a little bit, and he can keep the offense rolling.
Yeah, there was like the pitch count. I tweeted that out before the game started when he was getting ready in warmups. Like, man, whatever is wrong with his foot, like it just takes a lot for you to go out there and start the game looking a little hobbled and then get better as the game progresses. That's awesome. The other aspect to that is that, they went to Tybo and Will Nixon in the middle of that stretch in the middle of the game. And then he came back again, like in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. So it wasn't even like consistent 21 carries. It was like Dillon Johnson gets the rock. Then you go and switch gears and you go Tybo and Will Nixon. Then you go Dillon Johnson again for the rest of the game. So I think, to your point, I do think they maybe had him on a pitch count and then abandoned the pitch count given the necessity of the game.
And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me, and just moving on to like what the offensive line was doing, the offensive line had some struggles. We gave up 2 sacks. The interior specifically was struggling with the run, with the pass. But it seems like with the run, they were having a lot more luck. They were able to push guys around, and we talked about that last week. What did you see from the offensive line, specifically the interior? Because there was a lot of stuff that was reminiscent of the Arizona State game in this game.
Yeah. So the biggest thing I saw was that defensive line, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've watched every Washington State game, because I haven't. But obviously, the coaches watched a lot of film. I would not be surprised if they were doing a lot more slanting in this game. So maybe that D line was starting in the B gap and he end up in the opposite A gap, and maybe we just didn't really expect that. And I think that took some time for our offensive line to really adjust to that. I was talking to a player, one of the player parents, and they said that the offensive line was really seeing some stuff that just wasn't on film. And even when it was called out, there were some communications that they were struggling with internally. But dude, it's nothing that we ain't gonna see this week. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna come with pressure. Can we hold it up? And at this time of the year, man, dude, everybody's the kitchen cupboard's gonna be bare, man. At the end of the year, at this time, like they ain't keeping nothing back. They're bringing everything. Whether you got a double reverse pass or some sort of flea flicker, on steroids, whatever it is, everything's going to be bare, dude. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I saw, though, is that they were showing some stuff up front that I think our offensive line and our staff probably wasn't ready for. And that's kind of why it took so long to really adjust to that.
Izzo, who gets your offensive player of the game or play of the game?
I mean, the play of the game is Westy's catch on it was either third or fourth. Well, actually, timeout. Yeah. There's 2 plays of the game.
There we go.
Westy's catch, converting on that to get the first. That was huge. We can't talk about him enough. He's nails. He comes up in the biggest spots. It's clear they like to go to him in these spots. And nothing more to say. The guy just catches the ball when he absolutely has to, and it's a diving catch. It's not like it's easy. He's just sure-handed, and man, they need to get that NIL deal lined up for that hometown Dawg, man. I don't know if it's already in the works, but I saw something on Twitter about it. It needs to happen. He's been a savior for this offense. Oh yeah, absolutely. Rome is got to be the guy. I mean, 7 catches, 120 yards, 17 a catch, 2 touchdowns. He's the insurance plan. You see him when we're within 25, 30 yards, that's who we're going to. Like, there's going to be one shot to the end zone with Rome in that situation every single time, and there should be. He just comes down with the ball, and man, that turnaround catch that he had, back shoulder fade, perfect. Absolutely, just NFL caliber, first round caliber, All-American type of play, and you can't. He's my guy. He's the guy for this game. The end around, unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. That was going to be a play that is forever cemented in Husky history. Noah, what about you? Who gets your player of the game?
Yeah. So I kind of already tipped my hat to Dillon Johnson. But kind of the offensive play of the game, and it's actually 2 plays, but dude, the back-to-back plays for Jack Westover, the diving catch for 19 yards, and then that back shoulder to Rome. Man, if you really look at that, when you at that time of the game, dude, things were just kind of sputtering, man. That's kind of when I was really getting a little like, dude, we are so much better than these guys, but we just can't put them away. And so those plays to me, the Westover. I mean, and that's the thing too. If Westy catches that ball, and I actually put that on Mike, if he catches that ball, and keeps his feet, dude, he might be running. He might be running for a tutty on that.
He might still be running now.
Yeah, he's Forrest Gump, baby, running out the stadium. But yeah, that's kind of that play, that back-to-back plays, man. That was so key. And just kind of, I wouldn't call it shutting the door on Wazoo because we didn't, but just kind of taking control of the game back. I think was huge, huge there from an offensive perspective, especially.
Okay, I think for me, the play is obviously that fourth down play. That was, like I said, I was so excited. It made me feel so good to be a Husky fan watching that play. That's what those kind of plays do, is they're uplifting, especially when you're feeling down. And I thought the game was over. But who's going to get I guess it'd be special teams player of the game. It's going to be Grady Gross.
Let's go.
He got a scholarship after this, and he had a rough last couple of weeks and started this game. But when he kicks that field goal and he makes the first one, they call a timeout to freeze him, then comes back and does it again. I saw Pat McAfee talking today about how hard that actually is to go back and get a second time with all that pressure. And for him to be able to do it, overcome the miss from earlier in the game and send us to the Pac-12 championship as an undefeated team, he's going to get my offensive player of the game, especially since you guys already took Roman DJ off the table.
So Westy Rome DJ.
Yeah. So let's look to the defensive side of the ball. And Noah, I'll stick with you on this. Who gets your defensive player of the game?
So my defensive player of the game is Carson Bruner. Dude, 14 tackles, 9 solos. But the thing is, he is just a game changer out there, man. And he can really do it all. I mean, he's just such a sound linebacker in everything he does. You see him in pass coverage. You see him in open field tackling is like elite.
Yep.
I think he must work with Mish Powell, in the offseason. But I mean, it's just so impressive to see him, dude, kind of play that. I wouldn't call it a backup role, but he's in that rotational role to start the year. But man, we are such a different team when he's on the field. I mean, he's a playmaker, man. And big players make big plays in big times. And Carson just continues to do it. Before you go to Izzo and before you say yours, Mike, I got one honorable mention. And that's going to go to the young buck, man. Tristan Dunn. Dude, he's become like a special teams assassin.
He puts half.
I mean, he does. And he kind of, he might be part of the young tribe that comes up that continues this like death row dog tradition, man. You see the sweatshirt.
Like he's the next Dom Hampton. He's that guy that has the same mentality.
Dude, and I mean, even when he maybe isn't making like a tackle, dude, he's lighting somebody up, dude. I mean, it's just every time, every kickoff, every punt, he's a headhunter, man. And I just love that mentality because you need legitimate players like that to set the tone. Just exactly, Mike, like what you said, just like Dom's done for years. You need that next generation to step up and do that.
Show that sweatshirt. Show that sweatshirt, Noah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Very nice. Death row dogs. Let's go.
Because I believe that's his company, right?
No, I don't think it's a company, but yeah, but I don't think it's. Well, maybe it is. Actually, I don't know.
Going back to Carson Bruner real quick. Do you guys? I feel like the last maybe 3 to 4 weeks, he's emerged as the Dog's best linebacker. He's everywhere, and I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Eddie because I know Eddie is still he's second on the team in tackles. But just put this in perspective. 2 weeks ago, when we were going into I think it was just post Utah, I saw when you looked at the tackle leaders for, I think Carson was at 46 tackles. He's got 73 right now after that. He's literally risen from 5th or 6th on the line. He's jumped above Chupatala and all them guys. He's only 4 behind Eddie right now, and he started the first 6-7 games primarily as a backup. Is Carson Bruner our best linebacker?
I mean, I don't think that that's really that crazy anymore. I'm gonna tell you, man. Carson Bruner just makes plays. I mean, I don't even know if it's taking away from Eddie. I don't know if it's taken away from Zoe or Raylan. Oh, we've talked about this on the podcast, man. When you make plays, it's CamFab. It's CamFab in 2023. When you make plays, at some point, the coaches literally have to ask themselves, how do we take this guy off the field? And that's Carson Bruner, because there's this 4-man rotation that they've had, right? But then Zoe gets a little hamstring injury, but he's just taken every opportunity and absolutely balled out to where, dude, it's hard to take him off the field. Dude, there's one play. I want to say this really quick. There's one play. I know CamFab's coming off an ankle injury and he's getting healthier by the day. But there's a play going up the sideline against Oregon State where one of their, I can't remember if it's one of their quick little scat receivers gets loose and CamFabs are kind of like running him down. Dude, Carson Bruner comes out of he's shot out of a cannon, runs past CamFab and tackles, the scat little receiver. I mean, I want to know how Carson Bruner runs in the 40, bro. I bet you it's 4.5, high 4.5s, which is like crazy for that type of athlete.
Well, especially with his size and athletic ability. I mean,
exactly.
The ability, and you mix that with that ability to make big tackles in the open field and not get juked out of his shoes like a lot of guys do. We're going to need it this week.
Yep.
Izzo, who gets your defensive player of the game?
I'm going to go with 2 guys. One being Mikel Esteen. That play took a lot of awareness because that's a tip ball, and you have to have somebody who is not only aware but has the speed to close the gap and get that ball and catch it with an athletic play. So he's stepped up, and especially over the last couple of weeks has progressed quite a bit on this defense. And so he's going to get my tip of the cap or my game ball just for how big that interception was. It was key. The other guy is Voit Sanufi. I think Voy, let me see his stat line. Voy had a sack. Yeah. Sack, 1 hit, 4 hurries. He's a part of that Zoom package that we talk about. I love what Voy's done stepping up into this role and being the guy that they can lean on to give guys like Thule a break. And Tuatele did too as well. But Voy has just been everything that you would hope that he would be at this point of his career and stepped up into a role where he's asked to do a lot and he's performing. So he's going to get my other game ball. So Voy and Mikel.
Okay. I think you're right. I'm going to actually expand upon that. I'm going to give my game ball to the whole defensive line. I thought the defensive line played really, really well. 5 sacks, 6 TFLs. That big 4th down stop, I believe that was early in the game where they were driving. It was 4th and 1. They ended up not getting it. They get stuffed. And then just pressure all night. I mean, like you said earlier, Izzo, when it came to Cam Ward and his numbers say they should have had 30 points. And that was because he was under constant duress. And let me say this. Cam Ward is a baller. He is. He had those yards because he was so good at getting away from that initial person.
And look, we were asking for 2 things from the middle of this season and the front end of this season. We were asking for running game consistency, and we got it. And we were asking for defensive line depth, and we got it. And maybe even a third, safety depth, and we got it. Yep. So they showed up, man. That's the difference in these games.
I think they need to start. They need to hire the 3 of us on staff as quality control, quality control guys. All right.
Analyst.
So, and speaking of quality control, we're moving on to the next segment, which is areas for improvement. All right, Izzo, hit me.
Well, I think you want these wide receivers to be sure-handed and to regain that confidence. You need Jalen and you need Jalen McMillan and you need Jalen Polk to be confident, sure-handed. And so I think that's the obvious one. And I just think as we head into Oregon and down the stretch, you need this offensive line to be geared up and ready to roll against much more much more capable defensive lines. And I don't mean that slide against the defensive lines that we played. They've been okay, but we're about to go up against some really stacked trenches.
No?
Yeah, the biggest thing I saw is our offensive line just needs to be better, dropping their hips and pass pro. And, when you're a kid and you're taught, like, get into athletic position, it's always, everyone knows what athletic position looks like. And I get that our guys are 6'6" and 6'8", but man, we just stand too high at times, and it allows the defensive line to really bull rush us, or even hit us with like a quick move. I mean, we've actually been pretty sound in our technique, but when you are 6'6" and 6'8", you're just more likely to stand straight up just because you're so much taller, so much bigger. Dude, drop the hips a little bit and be able to take on a bull rush, because you're going to see it this week, man. And it's kind of one of my keys to the game with Oregon is I think that's what you're really going to see is those guys try to get up into our guards and push them back right into Michael Penix's lap. So that's kind of an area of improvement I really want to see.
Okay. No, I'm going to stick with you on this one. What we like to see the defense do for improvement?
Yeah, Mike, I think, one thing you've actually said is, we come out with nice adjustments after halftime a lot of times on the defensive side, but you've always kind of wondered, like, why can we not do it, in game? Why can't we do it at the end of the first? Why can't we do it in the middle of the first, middle of the second, whatever that is? We were getting smoked on that quick little slant route pretty much.
Amen.
I mean, the whole game. And so if that's what an Oregon's going to do to us, I mean, we've seen, we haven't seen a ton of other teams do it, but if that's like, a little playbook that, Oregon's going to watch the film and try to do it, we need to be better, and we need to be quicker at adjusting and dropping our linebackers right into that hook zone. It's what that's going to do is two things. Is it going to completely stop the quick slants? Probably not. But being able to get into that hook zone, there's opportunities to bat balls down, pass deflections, whatever that is. But then also, dude, we need to come up with a vengeance and tackle in open field quickly and abruptly. The last two games, I've seen that from the safeties we played. Oregon State safeties and Wazoo safeties have come up with a vengeance and tackled in open field. Dude, we need to get back to that mentality of trying to freaking hurt that guy in front of you. So make those quick adjustments and then finish on our tackling. That's kind of where I want to see from a defensive side.
No, you could see that. You could see Cam Ward audibling based on the depth that the corners were giving their receivers. You could see him audibling into the slants. I watched him do it because it was right in front of we had some seats on the Wazoo side. You could see him identify, and then right before the snap, I don't know if there was like I guess it might be a pre-snap. You tell me. From my knowledge, you need to do like a pre-snap adjustment or do something to hide what you're going to be doing with your. I don't know how you hide the cushion that they're giving.
Seems like all year we've ran pretty close to. I don't have the percentages, but pretty close to man on the outsides with our corners, and I think that's kind of why you've seen sometimes those guys have got baptized. But there's nothing wrong with running man on your corners and then changing maybe. Maybe your linebacker is going to drop into the zone every couple plays. Maybe you're gonna blitz at linebacker and drop one of your defensive ends, drop ZTF into the hook zone. We've done that multiple times. Dude, you can do that. We have calls for all that type of stuff. Right. That's in-game adjustment. That's, hey, we're gonna change this one little wrinkle. You can make all those adjustments in game. It's not some like rocket science type thing, and you can show completely different things. You could bring Carson and Eddie, put them literally on the offensive center. Oh, we're going to blitz A gap. Nope, we're going to drop out. I mean, like, there's so many different ways. Yeah, there's so many different ways we can show it. And so I guess at the end of the day, that's kind of was my thing is just show different things. If it's just you're just getting gashed on it 7, 8, 9 yards, dude, don't wait so long to make those adjustments.
All right, real quick question from the Discord. If you don't know about the Dubbed Up Discord, the link is in the bio. Make sure you go join it. It is the #1 spot for any Husky sports information, specifically football and basketball. Though, if you want to know about recruiting, it is the spot to know all that. And it comes out before it hits any of the news outlets. It's free to join, but for just $8 a month, you can get the VIP session. The VIP session has not just the rumors the rumors thread, but also the chat where you have everybody that you might know from Husky Twitter and maybe even more in there, all contributing. I think my guy Izzo says this best. There's no better way to get information than fan sourcing, and that's how we're doing it.
We crowdsource information.
Sorry, that's the word.
No, you're right. You're right. No, there is a man. It's impossible thing to compete with when you have this many connected Husky fans and connected individuals to not know pretty much everything that's happening. So, and we organize everything to make sure it's separated so you don't get lost in the chats and things don't get lost. We pull out what's important and thread that so that it's easily visible, the things that you want to see.
And also it's therapeutic. So during the game, if you need to get off your feelings because you feel like you're about to die, there's a bunch of people there that are going to either agree or disagree with you, and you can get it out there. And then once we win, we can all cheer and have a beer together and be happy. So Dogmatic posed a question to us, and I think we've kind of addressed this a little bit, but let's do it again. If other teams have figured out our play calls, how difficult is it to change them up in less than a week without creating confusion with the players? Which one of you guys wants to tackle that one?
Yeah, I mean, I can take that. I mean, I can only speak from experience. A lot of times it's actually a very simple concept. If you look on the sideline, you'll see multiple probably backup quarterbacks calling, 3 or 4 different plays at once. At the end of the day, all you really need to do is probably change which guy's hot, or even change up, what we're actually looking for. It really shouldn't be, once again, it shouldn't be like some rocket science type thing. I don't think we're going to completely change our calls because remember, they're not seeing what our actual, the names of our plays are. They're seeing what's being signaled in. So maybe that's what you'll see in the Pac-12 championship. You'll see, 3 guys out there with 3 different color shirts on. They'll all be doing something different and will change who's hot at that any given moment. So it's nothing that is that crazy. It might end up changing a little bit what we've done all year, but maybe this is a perfect opportunity especially after the break, right? You'll go Pac-12 championship, then you'll have like a 4-week break. So you'll see, the team scouting, you will have a lot of opportunity to watch a lot of film. Hell, they'll probably watch every single game tape. They'll probably watch stuff from last year. So it's a good opportunity just to change some stuff up now before, it really bites you in a big time game.
All right. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Make sure you go hit the like, subscribe, leave comments, join the Discord, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know you love us because we love you too. For my guy Izzo, for Noah, I'm Mike Flaunt. This is Dubbed Up. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Go Dogs.